What do you do when your laptop freezes during a gig? Let's talk about that right now. This is Share the Knowledge.
This is the Share the Knowledge podcast for DJs.
So this next question is about a scenario that a lot of us are scared of or were scared of, and a lot of us have been through it. This is about being in a situation where your equipment fails during a gig. And yes, this question is about laptops, but I've seen plenty of situations where DJs were struggling with a CDJ that didn't work anymore, a mixer failure, you name it. All sorts of things can happen. But let's go into this question. Now, I've been getting straight gigs for about 6 months now, and I haven't experienced any glitches like laptop freezes, etc. What do you do when this happens? Can you make a video about this on your channel? I'm working with the SB2 and I don't have a 4-channel controller, so I can't play emergency mixes. So what he means is if you have a 4-channel mixer and you're using 2 channels, you can use like one of the other 2 channels to connect like an extra device with a mix just in case. So he still wanted to know what I feel about that. So here's my thing. I went to a transition period when I was switching from vinyl to digital. I used digital for a while when I was using Final Scratch, but I would always have my vinyl with me because Final Scratch wasn't the most dependable system. And yeah, I had some fails with that, but mostly I saw other DJs have fails with it. So I was still bringing my vinyl even though I was playing digitally. I just didn't trust it yet. Now, I switched to Serato later on, and it took me some time before I felt comfortable enough to leave vinyl at home. So I was still bringing vinyl. Now, mind you, I was not bringing my 3 to 4 crates of vinyl. I would bring one smaller crate, and that crate was packed with nothing but these, what's the best way to call them? Like, these were like best of albums, like collection albums with nothing but like bangers and hits. So they were all double albums, but every track on one of those albums would be suitable for the clubs. So this crate was like this big, but with that crate, I could spin a couple of hours of like dope tracks. I brought that crate along for, I don't know, probably at least 6 more months to every gig, just because I was scared something would happen. One gig, something did happen to me, and at that gig, I hooked up my Serato. I was using the SL1, I had my vinyl there, and the tracks were playing in reverse. At that time, I wasn't using Serato that long yet. I freaked out. I had no idea what was going on. Now, mind you, internet wasn't that great then, especially on phones, so I didn't really have the option to look it up right on the spot. If I could have done that, I would have fixed the problem in 2 seconds. That's beside the fact. The problem was, and I didn't know at that time, if your tracks are playing in reverse, it means that the RCA cables are in the wrong way. Now, mind you, if you looked at that, the red and white went into the right inputs on the mixer. But these were 2 of those older turntables that had been revised a couple of times, new cables, and the RCA cables weren't connected the right way. So white was actually red and red was white. Now, if I would have known about that, I could have fixed it in 10 seconds. I didn't, so I freaked out. I was like, So put Serato to the side, and I think I did a 3-hour set with just that crate. Rocked the party. It worked, but it bugged me out. When I came home and realized it was that simple, I was like, okay, never mind. If that happens again, and it's happened a couple of times, switch to RCA, and then you're good to go. Now, I've played a gig where my laptop, my old laptop, that was like an old Windows computer I was using, it got too hot. The club was like crazy, a lot of humidity, a lot of heat, and it got so hot that the laptop just, it got to a point where it just said, and it went out. In that case, we were playing in a club and I was playing back to back with another DJ, and we had 2 sets right there. So there was also a CDJ set, I believe. There was a second set. So I just looked at him as like, play a track right now. And it took a couple of seconds and he just started a track. I actually just restarted my laptop and I lifted it up a bit, put something under it so air could come underneath it, and it did work for the rest of the night. That was the first time I realized I need a laptop stand, because I would have my laptop like just flat on the floor, so the ventilation did not get its room. Lesson learned. That's how you learn a lot of these things, by making the mistakes. But in that case, I had the backup. Now, it would be in my best interest to always bring a backup and always have that connected. And I'll be very honest and tell you right now that I don't actually do that. I can't remember the last time I actually had something hooked up as a backup. Even when I'm playing on a set and there's a CDJ next to it, a lot of times I don't even have the flash drive in there. Now, I have a flash drive, so if something would happen to my set, I could switch and go to the CDJs, but I don't have it in there. I don't know. I feel comfortable with my set. I know that at any time something could happen. And if that does, then if there's an extra set, then I'm in a position to just put in that flash drive, fix it that way. If there's nothing else, yeah, then we would have a problem. But I actually hardly ever play in spots where the DJ set I'm playing on is the only set there. Most of the times I'm playing in clubs where the rest of the DJs are playing on CDJs, and I'm the DJ coming in to play with turntables and Serato. So I know if anything happens, I use that. In your case, if you have your SB2 and you're doing gigs on that SB2, are you connecting that SB2 straight to a PA system, or is your SB2 going into like an external mixer? It has to go into something. There has to be like a sound system at the venue where you're playing. Most likely that sound system from the venue will have extra inputs. So what you could do basically is use some type, even if it's like a simple old school MP3 player. I still have my old iPod, 120 gigs of music on there. Bring that and have that connected to that PA system. If anything would happen to your set, you would have to like signal the engineer or whoever's in charge of the sound to start something on that. Even if it takes a couple of seconds, that's gonna go on and it's gonna give you time to figure out what's going on. Now, if your laptop is dead and it's not coming up, it's not going on again, I don't know how you would fix that if your setup is the only setup there. So in that case, you're screwed. You just checked out a video clip from the Share the Knowledge podcast for DJs. If you want to check out the full audio episode, you can check it on Spotify, SoundCloud, Anchor, iTunes, you name it. The links are in the description box down below. If you want to ask questions for a future episode, you can do that in the comments section or check me out on Instagram. You could also go to the Share the Knowledge Facebook page and check me out anywhere on social. The handle is djTLM. Everywhere, check out djTLM.com for all my info, and make sure you subscribe to djTLMtv and activate the notifications so you won't miss out on any of my future videos. Thanks for tuning in.